Hi. I thought I'd do a news review again. It really appears to me that things really ramped up last week as far as I could see from the internet. In terms of like where I live, there wasn't anything. I did read on The Guardian that somebody in my area had had their address shared as being a immigration solicitor. I think that that's mad. Uh, like if we have jobs that targeting those people, that's crazy. Like I think that essentially these people must be getting dragged around by police. Try not necessarily police, but like people with ulterior motives. Because you would think like if you think logically, right, you think, oh, if I go to someone's house and commit violence or arson or whatever else they might be thinking of doing on a mass scale, when everybody's sort of locking down all of these, everybody's locking down, people are getting arrested, people are getting 2-year prison sentences, etc., etc. You think, why would you, like, quite clearly, people know that that information's being shared. I would always go with, even on the dark web, you're being tracked, especially on the dark web. I would go with, if you're on the dark web, you are 100% being tracked because they trust you a lot less. You know, it's really like, I've seen the software where they make a search for a word that's been used and it brings up every single time an email, a website, a just off like off one word. Every single time an email, a text message, a WhatsApp message, a website address uses that word, then they combine it with 3 words, then they combine it with 5 words, right? They use all these trigger words to search for people. If you think that you're safe off on the dark web, you're not. So like, and what's crazy to me is these people that are going out and committing arson, committing, the crazy levels of criminal damage that are being committed here and violence, carrying weapons, these like attacks where it's like watching videos of attacks where it's like 80 people on one, on both sides, on both sides, on the white side and the Muslim side, right? Like, and you're thinking like, one, how is that any indication of your strength? That's insane. That's mental. And two, why wouldn't you think logically? Like you would think that people would go, I'm going to get a large amount of people put inside if I can't protest without using violence. Just go and protest and don't be violent. I've been to a few protests in my time. Like I was at the BLM rallies. I saw a plastic empty water bottle getting thrown. That was all I saw. And there were so many people at those protests. Over like the three that I went to, um, I saw a plastic water bottle getting thrown. That was all I saw. So like it's crazy because I think that there are different sorts of people here. I was just looking at like it's quite upsetting for me because like I am a fairly liberal person. However, I don't believe in putting labels on myself. And like I just looked at this person's profile. Probably not going to name them because I think that that would be not great. But I was just looking at this person's profile, and you scroll down a little bit, and then he's saying, oh, for all of these people saying that they're respecting England, you should probably get a better grasp of English grammar because you're massively disrespecting the language. And I thought, this isn't ye old England. You understand the evolution of language, right? Like technologies get introduced, new ways of speaking gets introduced over time. If anything, if I was walking around in some fucking like uh knee high in some thigh high socks and like a pair of black shoes with if I looked like a Victorian era dude walking around in the streets, you would probably go, That's a bit crazy. So like I don't know why you would think that you just do what you think is appropriate, right? Like for me, so to be insulting people for not having a grasp of essentially what that means is you either think that they weren't educated correctly, they weren't educated to a standard of which usually it like alludes to cost of education or amount of money in area with regard to education. So you're either saying you're poor and stupid, not a very liberal concept that. Like, do you know what I mean? Not a very like left-leaning concept to go, you're fucking stupid and poor. Um, and also fairly stupid to not be realizing that from our generation, I'm 35, we had MSN, etc. Through MSN, we started using that was when like LOL, Lamau, Ruffle, whatever, like all of that shit like started getting used was in forums and on MSN and stuff. Like quite obviously when you abbreviate so much so, that's going to be incorporated into not even a national identity, not even a Western identity. This is like all over the world, you know. Um, so you think it's quite it's almost like you've been educated to say that, and through being told to use that as an insult, you've come off as really fucking stupid. We all come off as stupid though, you know? Like we all come off as we all say shit that we say out of anger or that we um say out of stupidity. We all say stuff that we think, oh, I wish I'd said that differently. I just think that it's quite. What I'm basically seeing is a bunch of people on the right acting liberally, and a bunch of people on the left acting like fascists. Do you know what I mean? It seems like back in the day when I was growing up, it was a liberal thing to sort of like read between the lines and to read into to think for yourself essentially was a liberal concept. And now seemingly on the left hand side, you've got people going, no, that's fucking stupid. How could you possibly believe in any sort of conspiracy theories, and you think, well, they've quite obviously manipulated conspiracy theories to come off as stupid, but like, look at what happened with Nixon in the 70s. We don't have to talk about JFK if you don't want. If you don't want to talk about JFK, that's okay. There's a ton of people, look, when you look into this, that go, it's impossible that that shot was taken from that place. That's fine if you think, well, that it must have been whatever. But like, look at what happened with Nixon. He got taken out of power for trying to, I believe it was for trying to destroy documents that had to be made legal, right? And that were covering shit like MK Ultra. That do you know what I mean? Like, there is blatant proof that has been in the media in both the UK and the US where it is clear as day that there is massive amounts of fraudulent behavior that are hidden behind layers upon layers upon layers of law enforcement and politics and money to say that it is and this was a far right dude, man. So like to say that there are no to believe in conspiracy theories is stupid. No, it is stupid to believe in some shit. It is stupid to not think for yourself. It is incredibly stupid to say none of the stuff that you're talking about is possible. We need to exist in this fake world written by the church who control the media. It's madness. Absolutely insane. And like it used to be, it is a liberal concept to think for yourself. Thinking liberally means thinking for yourself. And like what I'm finding is that more so and more so, to take these words at their definition, you can still be that. What I find is happening is I spoke to this guy that seems to think he's super intelligent the other day. He works as like an engineer. He works as an engineer for like Rolls Royce. Then he works as an engineer in like pharmaceuticals. And he was I was talking about something. He went, "Oh, so you don't like Tories, do you?" And I was like, "Fuck no." And he was like, "Oh, well, Labour is blah 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 blah. I'm a libertarian now, and I thought this is like the shout out of the fucking new age dunces, man. It's so crazy because what you basically have is the far right and the right leaning people basically went, oh, how could you be liberal? Because everybody liberal has blue hair and they think that they're a cat. This is nothing more than just dividing and conquering the left. That's all it is. Do you know what I mean? Like basically putting people from the right onto us, and let's just like break this down a little bit more. The people on the right are wanting to vote. These people on the far right are a party that they want your vote. It is impossible to be a fascist party and to want to vote. Okay, going out to protest is would not be allowed in a fascist dictatorship. Russia are a communist country. Okay, to have all these people going, oh, you have these far right leaders going, well, I really like Vladimir Putin. The dude's a communist. Do, do you understand like how far left that is? It's like and it's so insane. And then you have people on the left going, no, you shouldn't. You look at your canceling people, right? So like, let's look at Andrew Tate for a minute. I don't really want to back a horse that I don't know too much. All I can go off is what's in the media about the guy. Okay, so like, sometime I watched an interview with him. I'd say 2 months ago. I turned it off after 10 minutes. I just thought I don't really want to see this. I watched like him talking for a minute the other day, and I thought he just made a ton of valid points there. I'm also aware that politicians or people trying to get sway will say things to get people on their side. Okay, but like what he said was, you're being played. Both the Muslim community and the patriots, whatever they want to call themselves, you're both being played right now. Because look at what both of you are doing. You're both committing violence, you're both committing violent acts, you're both committing criminal damage. That's just getting you both into prison. That's just weakening both of your causes. Do you know what I mean? Not only are you going to weaken your own cause, you're also going to get your phone taken. If they weren't already aware of you, they're going to take your phone. They're going to take every single person that you speak to. They're going to take every single media site that you're a part of. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy to want to do that. It's crazy to go, I really want to strengthen my cause, so I'm going to go out and get myself put in prison for years and then be on a police list for for it. It's mad. I just think if you're going to get if you go out to protest and all you're doing is uh stating your cause and having most intellectually gifted, the people that can vocalize your point the best, then you might get heard by more people. Going out and starting fires, like going out and burning places down, beating people up in what seems in some of the videos like 100 people on one, on both sides. Seems like Muslims are attacking white people, 100 people on one. Seems like white people are attacking Muslims and black people, 100 people on one. It seems like they're just attacking people that aren't Muslims, that potentially aren't even immigrants, and they're just going out and attacking them, 100 people on one. And you think, that's such a fucking weird. What are you doing? It's crazy, man. Um, So you think, yeah, but if you get put behind bars for not causing any criminal damage, for just speaking your mind, for vocalizing what your points are, then you have a right to sort of have your record removed, and you have a right to say that the police are doing an illegal action there by stifling your voice, you know? If you go out and you cause violence and you cause a ton of criminal damage. Like Citizens Advice Bureau, man, they're good people. Do you know what I mean? It's mad. They're here to help you. I don't know why you think that like, oh, they're just helping immigrants. They're just here to help people. You might find yourself after going through this prison term and coming out of prison and then finding it difficult to get employment, you might find yourself knocking on Citizens Advice Bureau's door and they will more than likely help you. So going out to attack them is quite strange, you know. Like literally, you can be a strong person, you can want to work. I'm testament to this. You can be a strong person, you can want to work, and they will not allow you to work. So you might need Citizens Advice Bureau at that time. Um, but yeah, it's crazy. Like what basically seems to have happened is you've got a bunch of liberal people that are like I just don't understand why we like attach these labels where we go I'm Labour Party, I'm a Taylor Swift fan, I'm a Nazi. Do you know what I mean? I'm a conservative. Like you're not really. Anytime that you attach yourselves to these ideologies, when your human side comes out, you're going to betray those ideologies. Do you know what I mean? You're just going to betray those ideologies straight up every time you go, this is what I am, because seemingly the left are you moving right. Like you look at what happened with Andrew Tate, right? That there's all I read, so I've been like watching a couple of his videos, looking at some of his comments, either laughing at them. That was a pretty funny meme where he said, you know, that meme where it's like two buttons and a finger pointing, and one of the buttons said, fix actual problems. The next button said, blame Andrew Tate for everything. And I thought, that's pretty fucking accurate, man. And the thing is, I think he works for the government. I'm pretty sure I looked into it and one of his parents was intelligence. Maybe. I don't want to really like say whether that's true or not, but like sometimes when people in the government are saying things accurately, sometimes when people are speaking truth, you should listen to them. And like having somebody, so I saw, oh, Andrew Tate was kicked off Big Brother for whipping a woman, and I thought, instantly in my head, because of how I've been raised to be triggered by things, I went, oh shit, am I going to have to like not denounce this person, but am I going to have to unfollow that person because like I don't want to follow someone that's beating the shit out of women. And then I look into it and it's a video with his ex-girlfriend where they cut out the laughter and it was just a sex game that they were playing. You're like, what the fuck, man? That is literally how they go out to cancel people. And the thing is, I just want to say again, I've watched interviews of his where I've just turned them off after 10 minutes. But also, when the guy is saying, you guys are being wound up to commit violence against each other so that they can turn the poor, the working class, and the middle class against each other, he's speaking truth there. Even if he's just getting you to throw a like at his comments, okay, he's still speaking truth there. You should know that that's what's happening. Um, and the thing is, right, it is quite obviously the people on the left. It is quite obviously liberal people that define themselves as liberal who have stifled that person's voice. You think that's a fascist concept. That is the concept of a dictatorship. To say this person I don't like his voice, I'm going to shut him up by completely manipulating the truth and lying about him. And then you have a bunch of people that don't even want to investigate anything to do with it. They just want to go, somebody that I shouldn't trust said that. So you have the left, who are supposed to be liberally thinking, acting completely unliberally. And you have the people on the right acting liberally. You think like, what the fuck is going on here? You even have like the conservatives in England use blue, yet the conservatives in the US use red. It's even to the point where like England, the US, Australia, Canada, any country that speaks English, you're almost defined by the language that you speak. In speaking English, you're sort of saying that you are English to an extent. So even both sides use opposite colours, which is like, why are you allowing these colours to define yourself? Why are you being defined by these concepts of a left and right that are obviously not opposite? Do you know what I mean? They're obviously, not only are they obviously not opposite, they're the same thing. And then you have a bunch of people seemingly trying to wind up both sides, and you think, well, that's just going to embarrass those people. It's going to make them not care. When you go out of your way and you go, look at these fucking idiots, you're just going to make them not care even more so. Do you know what I mean? If you don't if you think that it's appropriate, it used to happen in kitchens all the time because there's a big sort of like fascist dictatorship in kitchens and they seem to thrive on it, right? Like it's a very like monarchistic, like I don't know if that's a word, but like it's set up like a monarchy. You have one person at the top and then shit rolls downhill, right? So basically, through that, you have a fascist dictatorship set up there. So it used to be the same in kitchens. People would rather embarrass you than teach you. And if you were somebody that in most of the kitchens that I worked in, if I explained something to someone and told them, I would get bullied to fuck because I didn't embarrass them or string them along and then like crush their dreams. It's the most mental because you think like, well, that just made me go, why the fuck would I want to work with these people? Why would I want to work around this energy? It's an industry where I get to express creativity. By leaving, I've expressed creativity in a number of ways. And what's ended up happening is I've got a bunch of people going, he was just a burger flipper. And then I cook for people and I cook them meals that a ton of people in one-star restaurants couldn't prepare. And you go like, sure, okay. It's so that in order for them to protect the catering industry, they don't want people to rise up that high and then go, no, fuck this, it's crap. And it's like watching some of these videos where people are just trying to embarrass the other side, and you think, trying to embarrass their side. You just think that's going to get people to not care. That's going to get a brick through your window. Do you know what I mean? You know, when you're talking to young people who you're not telling ways to fight. You're not telling them ways that they can protect themselves. You're not telling them ways to express themselves. They're just going to put a brick through your window. Do you know what I mean? They're just going to pour gasoline through your letterbox and set fire. They don't understand these things, and you're not helping them. They've come through an education system that basically went, fuck these kids. We've existed. You've got a bunch of liberal people, right, going, we've existed in a Tory world for 14 years. Now let's go and shag these kids further that have just existed in a world that you don't rate. So you're basically saying the Tories have cut all the funding to the education system. Now that they're out of school, I'm going to fuck them worse. Not help them out, I'm going to embarrass them. And then you're not expecting a brick through your window. It's insane. It really is. Anyway, today what I thought I'd do is just pull up a load of stories and shit that was Alex Jones is annoying me a little bit. I think like I usually have time for Alex Jones a little bit. I think he's a lot more of a comedian than an actual conspiracy theorist. But I think maybe he was a conspiracy theorist at a point. I think that maybe he realized it was all that a lot of it was just joke allegories spread by the US government. A lot of what people do within this industry is they go, "Oh, I cheated on my wife once, so I can't blame them for murdering 500 civilians so that they could attack one terrorist." This is legitimately what happens a lot of the time. Oh, I can't blame them for murdering a school full of children. Do you know what I mean? I can't blame that was war, so I can't blame them for firebombing a politician. It's crazy. I slept with another girl. I slept with another woman once. So one time I did a line of cocaine. So I completely understand when they murder 500 civilians. I completely understand the prison system being slavery now because I once slept with a woman outside of marriage. It's fucking insane. But I feel like he's stoking the fires a lot, and he's stoking the fires on one side which is something that annoys me. You can't be a journalist when you're not accurately depicting what's going on. Do you know what I mean? If you're not going to show both sides, you're not being a journalist. You're just being a manipulator for one of your sides. There's that. Um, so it's slightly annoying me because at first I was thinking, oh, he's posted an interview with Tommy Robinson. I want to listen to it because like I don't want to just I'm not just going to say his side is full of shit. I do want to listen to it. I did think it was quite funny that he got kicked out of the US for being an illegal immigrant. I did think that was quite funny. But you're listening to the guy and he speaks some sense. And when somebody speaks some sense, you think they have to be coming from a place, they're coming from a place that I can get through to. If you don't agree with half of his views, but you agree with half of them, then what you should be thinking is, I can get through to this person, not let's burn him alive, you know, not let's threaten his family, not let's make death threats towards his family. Not a very liberal concept, that. Do you know what I mean? By and large, also not okay. Going to get you put in prison for potentially 10 to 15 years if you go and set fire to a solicitor's house or like an immigration solicitor. Also, really, really not cool. Maybe a bit more of a fascist concept, especially more of a fascist concept than voting or protesting. Um, but I just think that when people are speaking sense, you should try to speak sense back to them, you know? And if they refuse to listen to you, then I guess at that point dismiss their opinions and try to speak to their followers. Do you know what I mean? Try to speak to their followers and try to speak sense to them. If you could speak more sense, you're going to be listened to. The only problem with that is that sometimes when people tell their story first, I went through a relationship about 15 years ago where I thought things were cool. We ended and I thought things were cool. She still used to call me. We speak on the phone for like an hour. Like, I thought things were okay. We were still sleeping together a little bit after we broke up. Like, I really wasn't like too much drama there. And then I went to a night out and she told all of her friends that this is in my hometown. She was there as a uni student. This is a night I was going to since 16. I was in like my mid 20s. And she tried to make out that I was there to stalk her when I've been going to that night like every month for like 10 years. She then tried to turn all of our friends, all of the friends in that circle of friends, she tried to say that they couldn't hang out with me, which made people take sides. And I thought, you have to be lying about shit in order to get people. Do you know what I mean? Like the person who sort of goes out of their way to tell that story first, I figured they're the most insecure. Do you know what I mean? That probably sounds like I'm hating on something that happened 10 years ago. Maybe I am a little bit, but also what I said at that time was like, I don't understand. I don't need you to stop hanging out with her. Do you know what I mean? I don't need people to not be her friend. I don't need people to not hang out with her. So I don't understand why she's going out exaggerating and what she must have been exaggerating and lying about stuff. I was hanging out with people that she was telling to not hang out with me who didn't really know me, who after like a week of hanging out with them, they were coming up and apologizing to me. So this is essentially what happens in politics. People tell a story first, and people don't want to listen to that side. Now, I get the feeling that a lot of Tommy Robinson's supporters they are basically going, he spoke first. So now I want to listen to him because he told me what caring for my country is. And if you don't want to listen to Tommy Robinson, that's fine. Do you know what I mean? You can not listen to Tommy Robinson, but don't threaten his life and try and get through to his supporters instead of going, you can't spell. Again, 100 years ago, people spoke in a completely different way. 70 years ago, people used completely different language. It is a lot more stupid to stay bound by the confines of what you were taught in school 20 years ago because shit evolves. So I thought a better way would be just dragging up some stories. So, hottest ocean temperatures in 400 years in an existential threat to the Great Barrier Reef. Not good. Not good. When the ocean's fucking up, the annoying thing, this is the concept that I see on a lot of like far right people's opinions. Volcanoes exist. So why shouldn't we flood the world with vehicles and industrial farming? That's the stupidest shit I ever heard. That's like saying a lighter exists, so why shouldn't I burn your house down? This is what a lot of like Black Mirror shit is. These are like not police in itself is a fascist dictatorship. They're not allowed to protest, police. So they only allow people in that believe in those concepts, that believe in one person at the top, and they get to tell everyone below what happens, and you just have to deal with it. Right? So like this is the same as the sort of concept of far right businessmen that go, what a businessman, businesswoman, whatever. Like I'm not sure if you can be a far right businesswoman. I don't think they allow that. But yeah, I don't quite know how you can say that person smoked a cigarette, so it's okay to have billions of cars burning fuel around the globe. That seems like the most crazy concept. Um, it's just ridiculously fucking stupid. I just don't I don't understand how I don't understand how people get by on yeah, well you smoked a cigarette so it's okay. Yeah, well you piss in a toilet so it's okay to dump large amounts of industrial waste into the sea and into rivers. The fuck, man, it's crazy. It's just it's insane. And the only way to stop the only way to stop that, stop working for these companies, stop paying for them, stop pumping money into them, stop buying their shit, stop being a member with them. This is a Nike t-shirt. It's unfortunate because like I read so much stuff about sweatshops that Nike own. Do you know what I mean? And the only thing I've said this before, the only reason that you can get by on that is like maybe by owning sweatshops in other countries, it brings to light to our country and to our people what goes on in other countries. It brings to light the sorts of slavery that exist in other countries, but still exploiting slavery, not the best. However, if by exploiting slavery, you're bringing light to that slavery exists in those countries, maybe that's doing those people a world of good. Don't quite know how that works for burning shitloads of fossil fuels, the Arctic and the ice caps melting. Uh, it seems to be a crazy miserable summer in England this year, like ridiculously miserable. I don't think that that's good, man. I really don't think that that's good. And then it will stay, and then it will be sunny until like November, and then it will be like mildly sunny, sort of to a decent-ish standard until like November. You think like that's not, that doesn't seem right, you know. Anyway, not good about coral reefs getting fucked up. Not good if these are like if the temperature of the water is the hottest in 400 years. That really might start impacting everybody soon. I talked about Andrew Tate. Far right rioters in England deterred by swift justice. Um, I don't know if they have been. I don't know if that's just stoking the fire a little bit more. You know, when someone says to me, if I'm being like a little bit, if I'm being a little bit down and somebody said, and I feel like somebody's saying how we've managed to shut them up, and it's been like a day of me not drawing something or releasing a video, I just think I'm not going to be pushed into action and basically doing something that I don't want to stand by. Also, I'll make comments that I don't really stand by. What the fuck does it matter? Do you know what I mean? You grow, you evolve, you change. But like, I just think, well, I'm not going to be pushed. If I want to take a day off, I'm not going to be pushed into not having a day off of doing something. Do you know what I mean? That seems insane. But also, then I remember it so that in 2 days' time, when I draw a couple of pictures and release 3 videos and do a workout or whatever, I remember sort of like the comments that were made about me apparently being shut up. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I've said before, I think this is like an SS far right tactic to sort of go, everybody needs to work all the time. You're being soft if you're not working. Like, what? It's mad. Some of the best directors make a film like every 5 years. Do you know what I mean? Crazy. Uh, Not a shout out to Banksy, by the way. You know what is crazy about Banksy? I, don't- I guess his intention is right. You should not feel necessarily great about somebody that is allowed to have an Instagram account who is doing something illegal, who makes a shitload of money doing something apparently illegal, whose real name is apparently Robin Banks. What that is a an initiative to promote graffiti and criminal damage. That's what that is. He's spraying silhouettes of goats, man, and getting tons of attention for it. He's spraying silhouettes of monkeys. I don't I don't know. Like, it is such it's crazy for me. The only thing that I can think of is I've seen at least two people that he has inspired to be more creative. I remember a guy I used to hang out with about 15 years ago going, I do stencils. It's what Banksy does. There's a ton of people in the graffiti community that don't rate people that do stencils, and you think, well, if I walk from the bottom to the top of where I am now, from Clifton to Lady Bay, it's just like shite bit of graffiti after shite bit of graffiti. You do sort of think those people could probably look a lot better if they were doing stencils because a lot of it's crap. So I don't hate the style, and I don't hate provoking thought. I do wonder I do wonder like what the cause is. I do wonder like what are they trying to provoke? I know a bunch of graffiti artists who are sick and are very good at staying hidden that have said shit to me like I used to do illegal graffiti, but then I ended up getting a ton of fines, so I don't do it anymore. And these are people who are talented artists. Um, so I think there's much better ways, isn't it? That there is going out and I do understand the concept of I'm doing that there because the council aren't looking after this. I do understand the concept of like the whole like the walk from Clifton to Lady Bay. It's just grey wall, overgrown invasive species, bushes and shit, and it looks like nothing has changed since the 1940s. The bridges are painted like it's 1970, like it's 1960. Do you know what I mean? So like you do think, well, I understand trying to initiate change. I think there's probably other ways of going about it, but maybe not. Anyway, yeah, I get it if Banksy is trying to initiate a movement, trying to inspire people to be creative, but I just don't think anything that he's ever done has been that great. But people can get through to people with simple, I guess. Simple gets through to people and allows them to develop into complex, I guess. Jack Black says Tenacious D will return. You might think, why is he talking about this? But I think that is good. It pisses me off that I'm supposed to not be allowed to watch the Super Best Friends episode of South Park because they depicted Muhammad's face. Basically, what the episode is it's saying that every religion, they're all friends with each other. That they all sit there and that they all come up with tactics about how to control the world and how to solve problems, right? And because they drew Muhammad's face, they threatened to bomb Comedy Central. And I think the fact that people exist who would say you've drawn the face of this person, so I'm going to take human life over that. I think that that's so crazy. Why wouldn't you just create your own art, slagging off the South Park creators? Do you know what I mean? Why don't you just create your own fucking comic strips, and why wouldn't you just create your own cartoons and like insulting? It's eye for an eye, isn't it? Why would you say of somebody creating some sort of humor? Why would you say I need to go and like firebomb those people? I don't know if they're going out and like, are they stalking you? Are they harassing you? Are they physically abusing you? It seems like it's just a cartoon. Do you know what I mean? So I sort of thought when I read that story, I thought that's not cool. Why would he? I used to think Jack Black was funny. Maybe he still is funny, but I didn't really. He said something about Trump. He didn't shoot Trump. But he said something about Trump, and then Jack Black ditched him, and the Australian government were like, "No, you can't say that." And I thought, why? I think we need to get back to people taking it easy and finding shit funny, man. You don't find shit funny, you turn something off, don't you? You don't find shit funny and you find it attack on your culture, then you create something that attacks their culture. You don't like threaten to firebomb their building. Um, However, if they firebombed your building, maybe it's an appropriate response. That does sort of get into a whole world of weird that they went, we're going to firebomb Comedy Central's buildings off a cartoon and off the war in Iraq and Afghanistan didn't didn't seemingly do too much in the US. That does seem crazy. It does seem insane that like after the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, yeah, like old South Park just created a cartoon. We're going to firebomb Comedy Central, and we're going to make death threats to the creators of the show, um, to all these Marines, US, UK soldiers, whoever else was there. We're not going to do anything to the US. That seemed a bit weird. Um, the real story of the news website accused of fueling riots. I would say that last night, looking at some of the videos on social media, it seems like there was a hell of a lot of people at the anti-fascist rallies last night, at the anti-fascist protests, and that there was no violence, no criminal damage. You think that like what the people that are protesting against the Muslims, shouldn't what you do is like go out, if you're not violent and you have numbers, that's going to be they're going to be so much more insulted. And listen, like I'm not on either side here. I'm a liberal thinking person, but I think that all those people deserve a voice. But some of you are coming off in a way that's giving them fuel for their fire. But like, if you can outnumber someone, if people are getting, the BBC was a little bit shitty and quite obviously showing how far right they are. The only good thing about that is Savile, Rolf Harris, Hugh Edwards. Do you know what I mean? Don't know if that's what you want to stand by, but they were basically saying, oh, there was 8 people at a protest that showed up to a protest in this city. There was 100 people that showed up to a protest in this city. There was 1,000 people. The videos looked like there were a lot of people at those protests, way more than 1,000. So you think that that was their sarcastic way of trying to say nobody showed up to any of the anti-fascist rallies, protests. But like I can tell you right now that if you want to piss off the left, show up with numbers and act peacefully. What they have on you at the minute is they're starting fires, they're starting fights. They're getting themselves locked in prison. Show up with numbers and say your piece. You might get through to some of those people and that might make them realize that you're all fucking human. Um, and what's wrong with like limiting immigration in order to strengthen our own country so that we're not having riots where citizens advice bureaus are getting burnt down? Do you know what I mean? What's wrong with strengthening our own country, trying to educate everybody in our own country, trying to maximize profit of our own country, to just we strengthen for 10, 20 years and then get back to being a little bit more helpful? Do you know what I mean? You can. trying to instill a philosophy of peace in the people that we have here, so they want to go out and do, um, you know, like volunteer work in other countries to help those countries out if you care that deeply. I'm somebody that's not working right now. I would volunteer to go to another country that is experiencing difficulty, and I would help in whatever way that I could. I'm just wanting to say that now. If I got a letter through my door tomorrow, or if Universal Credit next week said, we have an opportunity in the Sudan, would you like to go there? And you can carry trays back and forth for doctors that are helping out over there. I go, yeah, 100%. Do you know what I mean? Like stopping immigration is not. We're seeing what's happening in the US, right? We're seeing like I don't think it's a bad thing to just stop immigration for a while. But you should know that by firebombing mosques, you're probably going to alienate a bunch of people that are here. You're probably going to make them not want to integrate a lot more than they would have done beforehand. If you want to say, we think our way is better, that's great. That's great. They might start to adopt into your style, and you might then go, we like some of your ways. You might be able to advance for the future in order to reach more people around the world with your message. But yeah, I mean, GB News and BBC News, I think they just seem to incite hatred. So funny. The real story of the news website accused of fueling riots. All I see on the BBC, like 30% of the stories on the BBC seem to be fueling hatred. I think that was about it in terms of what I think is. There's obviously a load of stuff to talk about, but I've either covered it before or it's just more of the same. Do you know what I mean? It's just more of the same. Uh, so I don't see a point in commenting on it. But in terms of what the US seems to perceive going on here, it's not that crazy where I am. It's not that crazy. Like, but I guess Nottingham's been depicting that. There was anti-fascist rallies. There wasn't really too much violence. There was a couple of people on the side of the far right who were trying to get people to throw missiles into the side on the left. Doesn't really look like too much happened. So I guess maybe I am judging it from a standpoint of just going for like a couple of walks and a cycle a day, and not seeing a bunch of Muslims attacking white people, or not seeing a bunch of white people attacking Muslims. So maybe, maybe I'm just talking from a stance of there's not a lot of violence in my town, but stoking the fires on one side, I really don't think is great. And I think, yeah, off reading a left wing rag, off reading a right wing rag, that's quite hard to say, and off trawling through what's trending, I think that's all I think is relevant for today. I just thought of getting this out of the way before I talk about the Insider, because I thought otherwise I'm going to put a bunch of this into the Insider.